Siobha Murphy, and I've chosen Emily Pankhurst's Freedom or Death speech. Emily Pankhurst was a suffragette. Who, what you might ask? She was a fighter, no, a soldier for women's suffrage, their right to vote. She spoke from stretchers. She broke out of jail and got smuggled into lecture halls to avoid the police to say what she needed to say. Does it sound like someone like that deserves to be forgotten? No. In December 1918, women in Ireland got the right to vote if they were over 30. They did have to be landowners though. In 1922, however, women of 21 and over in Ireland got the right. Their right to vote. Why did I bring it up? Because if women had to go through hunger strikes, jail time, misogyny and sexism and the like to get what they deserve, that doesn't mean that those things should still be commonplace today. Sexism is alive and flourishing. Girls are still being treated as the weaker gender. No one deserves this, let alone half of the human race. Emily Pankhurst inspires me and should inspire others because she shows how far girls are willing to go to get what they deserve. Strong women have always been around. They just need to be recognised. Girls can be whatever we want to be. Never let others deny you that truth. Now here are some sections from her original speech. I am here as a soldier who has temporarily left the field of battle in order to explain. It seems strange that it should have to be explained what civil war is like. In civil war, it's waged by women. I'm not only here as a soldier, temporarily absent from the field of battle. I am here, and I think this is the strangest part of my coming. I'm here as a person who, according to the law courts of my country, it has been decided is of no value to the community at all. I'm adjudged, because of my life, to be a dangerous person, under sentence of penal servitude in a convict prison. It is not at all difficult if your revolutionaries come to you from Russia, if they come to you from China, if they come to you from any part of the world, as long as they are men. But since I'm a woman, it is necessary to explain why women have adopted revolutionary methods in order to earn the right of citizenship. We women, in trying to make our case clear, always have to make it as part of our argument and urge upon men in our audience the fact, the very simple fact, that women are human beings. It is about 8 years since the word militant was first used to describe what we are doing. It is not militant at all, except that it provoked militancy on the part of those who are opposed to it. When women ask questions in a political meeting and fail to get answers, they are not doing anything militant. In Great Britain, it is a custom, a time-honoured one, to ask questions of candidates for Parliament and ask questions of the members of the government. No man was ever put out of a public meeting for asking questions. The first people who were put out of a political meeting for asking questions, women. They were brutally ill-used and they found themselves in jail before 24 hours had expired. We were called militant, and we were quite willing to accept that name. We were determined to press the question of enfranchisement for women to the point that we were no longer to be ignored by the politicians. You have 2 babies, very hungry, awaiting to be fed. One baby is a patient baby, and will wait indefinitely until its mother is ready to feed it. One baby is an impatient baby that cries lustily, screams and kicks and makes everybody unpleasant until it is fed. Well, we know which baby is attended to first. That is the whole history of politics. You have to make more noise than anyone else. You have to make yourself more obtrusive than anybody else. You have to fill the papers more than everyone else. In fact, you have to be there all the time and be sure that they do not snow you under. If you are dealing with an industrial revolution, you get the men and women of one class rising up against the men of another class. You can locate the difficulty. If there is a great industrial strike, you know exactly where the violence is and how the warfare is to be waged. But in our war, the government, you can't locate it. We wear no mark. We belong to every class. We promote every class in our community, to the highest to the lowest. And you see in the Women's Civil War, the dear men of my country cannot locate it. And you cannot stop it. Put them in prison. They say, that will stop it. But it didn't stop it at all. Instead of women giving it up, More women and more women and more women did it until there were 300 women at a time who had not broken a single law, only been making a nuisance of themselves, as the politicians say. Then they began to legislate. The British government had passed more stringent laws to deal with the agitation than they had ever found necessary during all the history of political agitation in my country. They were able to deal with the revolutionaries of the Chartist times. They were able to deal with the trade union agitation. They were able to deal with the revolution, a rise later on when the Reform Acts were passed. But the ordinary laws had not sufficed to curb insurgent women. They had to dip back into the Middle Ages to find means of repressing the women in revolt. They said to us, government rests upon force. That woman had force, so we must submit. Well, we are showing the government that it does not rest upon force at all. It rests upon consent. As long as a woman consents to be unjustly governed, they can be. But directly as women say, we withhold our consent. We will not be governed no longer so as long as that government is unjust. Not by the forces of civil war can you govern the very weakest woman. You can kill that woman, but she escapes you. You cannot govern her. No power on earth can govern a human being, however feeble, who withholds his or her consent. When they put us in prison at first, we allowed them to dress us in prison clothes. We allowed them to put us in solitary confinement. We allowed them to put us among the most degraded of criminals. We learned some of the most appalling evils in our so-called civilization that we could not have learnt in any other way. It was a valuable experience, and we're glad of it.